All right, I'm going to look at making the Incenter in this video. I don't have a triangle. I didn't print one off, but that's okay. I'm just going to make a triangle. So I'm going to use the straight edge on my protractor, and I'm just going to make a line. Sure, that looks like the exact right amount that I wanted. And I'm going to make an angle. It doesn't really matter what the angle is. I'm going to go with that angle. 63, sure, 63 degrees. And I'm going to make that line, I don't know, that long. And I'm going to connect it. And now I've made a triangle. So if you want to practice making the incenter, the circumcenter, the orthocenter, whatever it is, you can just make your own triangle. It doesn't have to be a special triangle. It could be an acute triangle. These are all acute angles. It could be an obtuse triangle, but it doesn't really matter. So here we go. I've got my acute scalene triangle, and I'm going to make the incenter. Remember, the incenter is where you take the angle bisector, you cut the angle in half for all three angles. So I could do this angle, I could do this angle, I could do this angle here. I personally find it helpful to always have the angle I'm cutting in half on the left, but I think that's only because, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm left-handed, but that's how I do it. So I turn the triangle to make the different angles. So I'll choose this one because it doesn't really matter. You could measure the angle and divide by 2. That works. I'm going to use my compass just to show that process. So I've got my compass here. I'm going to quick make sure that I have it set correctly. I'm going to make sure that the pencil and the pointy end, one of these days I'll learn what that's called, the pointy end, are level. Okay, so what you're basically doing is you're going to create an isosceles triangle over here. It doesn't really matter how long or how big your isosceles triangle is. It could be to here, it could be out to here. You can make this length as long as you want. I'm just going to go like this because that's where I have it. I'm going to make 2 dashes like that. So I put my pointy end on the vertex, and then I made a dash on either side of the triangle. I'm going to connect those 2 points to make my isosceles triangle. I did see online that there were some shortcuts to this where you didn't create the line, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to create the line only because I want to show kind of why it works, that you're making this isosceles triangle. Okay, so here's my isosceles triangle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that triangle in half, and by cutting that triangle in half, I'm creating the angle bisector for the angle. And so I'm going to make the perpendicular bisector. I'm going to do this a lot, the perpendicular bisector. So I'm going to set my pointy end on that corner right there at the vertex of my isosceles triangle. And I'm going to set my pencil to just over halfway. So that's more than halfway across the line here that I've created. So I'm setting it just over halfway across the line. And then I'm going to make, and I saw some of you making the full half circle there, so I'll do that. You don't have to, though. I'm not going to change the width of my compass. I'm going to do the same thing over here then. There we go. And what I've created are 2 crossing points, this crossing point and that crossing point. And that is going to be the perpendicular bisector for my triangle. I realized that the ruler I had was kind of warped, so I'm going to grab a different one. Here we go. So I'm going to line up those 2 crossing points and go. Well, maybe do a little bit better job of that. There we go. I've created the angle bisector. I'm going to keep that going a little bit further. Okay. In YouTube's time, then we're going to. I'm gonna do the angle bisector for this one, angle bisector for this one. I'm gonna do the same thing. Just for the speed of this video, and I'm back. Okay. So the magic of YouTube, I made the other angle bisectors. So I've got all three of them now. I have my original one that I made in front of you, and I did the exact same thing on the other vertices. You can see I made my isosceles triangle, made the perpendicular bisector. There are a lot of lines, and some of you were complaining about that there's just so many lines to keep track of, and that's absolutely true. I wish I could tell you that, well, okay, uh, if you Google it, you can probably find some shortcuts, but for the most part, you're doing the same actions. Um, and it is a lot of lines. Where those three incenters, or excuse me, where those three angle bisectors cross, that point right there is called the incenter, and that's how you make the incenter.